All right, high rollers, always enjoy watching this guy do his thing. A fantastic player whose darting resume is littered with success. He is the reigning PDC North American champion, winner of the 2017 WDF World Cup. He's taken down the Canadian Open, the Canadian National Championship, and he's laid claim to the Las Vegas Open. In 2015, he reached the semifinals at Lakeside. The next year, he made the final, losing to Scotty Too Hottie Scott Waits. And he is just back home to New Brunswick now from the U.S. after dominating the Port City Open. Not bad for a guy from hockey country. The silencer, Jeff Smith, joins us. Jeff, what a pleasure, man. Thanks so much for being our high roller today.
I appreciate you having me, Derek. I've been following you guys and your videos and your progress, and everything's been A1. I'm very happy to be a part of your show.
Well, thank you so much. We love the darts, man. I understand you got some bad weather on your way home from the States, but a great weekend for you, right? Congrats on that. You won both the 501 singles and the cricket singles. Now, we just watched Gerwyn Price pull off the double in Barnsley on the Pro Tour. You pulled it off there in Portland.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't throwing quite at Gerwyn's level. He played some spectacular darts this weekend at the Players' Championships. But like I say, even though I didn't throw my best stuff, I definitely threw the right darts at the right time. So it was good to get a win down there.
Yeah, and that's the key thing. I know John Part, a fellow countryman, fellow colleague of yours, he always says that timing is very important in darts.
Yeah, timing's everything. Like I said, with the played Soldier in the final of the cricket, and he was pretty much in control of the whole match until one mistake. And all you need is that one little window of opportunity, and if you can make it count, you can go a long way in this sport.
I got to ask you about cricket. It's a fantastic game, great strategy. Some players play it conservative, some score all the way through. Do you ever see that being a pro event?
It certainly is in North America. It's starting to get more popular down here on the East Coast as we're starting to integrate it in our tournaments. But like I say, it's so huge in the States. I think it's probably more cricket dominated than 501. And to be honest with you, I'd almost rather play cricket at times than 501.
Yeah, it's a great strategy game, fun to play too. I think it'd be great to watch. Now, they say darts is a funny old game. I mentioned Gerwyn. I know you've been there, in the zone, when you just can't miss. The challenge, I guess, is staying there, right? That can be tough.
Yeah, it just comes with repetition and practice, you know what I mean? You have to put hours and hours in on the board. And like I say, if you get away from it, take too long off, you find yourself starting all over again. So he's in a good place right now. There's no doubt about that, as many of the PDC players are, all cracking ton-plus averages every time now. It
really is amazing. It's a cutthroat situation right now in pro darts. Check him out on Twitter, folks. He puts up great content at the Silencer 170. His website is thesilencer170.com. It's interesting you mentioned practice because he put this tweet out in January, which I found very, very fascinating. Responding to a Windmouth post about how much you should practice, you said this: definitely believe in smaller sessions. Your interest falls off in longer sessions, which doesn't allow you to reach and maintain your full potential. That knowledge, I'm guessing, comes from experience.
Yeah, in most cases, when you're playing in these tournaments, your matches are only lasting anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes at a time. So if you're practicing, get yourself into that sequence where you're getting yourself red hot within that 10 to 20 minutes, there's no point in going any further because you're pretty much done from that scenario. So I'd rather do 4 or 5 of those small sessions during the day than sit down and try to do it all at once, because you get into practicing bad darts, that's all you're doing is just practicing bad darts.
Yeah, right. You know, when I was a kid practicing darts, my dad used to say to me, especially after I got my first 180, he says, if you can do that one shot, don't you think you should be able to do it every shot? And it's a fascinating concept, right? Because if you do it once, why not every time? Michael Van Gerwen's almost perfected it, but it's really tough, isn't it?
It's exactly that. It's, you know what I mean? Every chance you get up, there's so many factors that change the way the game's played, I guess, and certain strategies depending on what game you're playing, whether it's 01 or cricket. But yeah, it's basically mental focus, and if you can crack that part of the game, then you're going to go a long way.
How often do you reflect on your terrific runs at the Lakeside, an iconic venue that's played host to all the greats, 2015, 2016? I mean, you came pretty close to winning it all. You lost in the semis to Scott Mitchell. Disappointing to be shut out there, but still a great result. Then you went one better the following year, got to the final. Do you find yourself daydreaming at all about those matches? I mean, do you struggle with any what-ifs, or is it all positive for you?
Yeah, it's like I say, I really think that year I made the final, I thought that was probably the year I was supposed to win, if anything. Preparation was horrible that final night. I didn't get much sleep. Obviously, I had a great match with Veenstra the night before, and it got over pretty late, and then had to go do interviews after that, and then the photo shoot to get ready for tomorrow's session or whatever. But everybody back home took it upon themselves to message me at 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning. So, like I say, with just trying to check back in at home, make sure everything was good here, every time my light went green on the messenger, everybody wanted to wish me congratulations or ask me for a link or see what time it was on. So I think if I had it to do all over again, I probably would have turned the phone off that night, to be honest with you, and hopefully would have accounted myself a little bit better than what I did in that final. But Lakeside was awesome, you know what I mean? It's the people really took so well to me over there, and I had such a great time with and met a lot of great friends that will consider to have friends from here on out.
It's interesting you mentioned that because, I play a lot of poker, and when you play the World Series of Poker, they're long days, and then you've got to come back the next day, and it is tough to sleep, isn't it? I mean, you're wired, you're getting messages from home. Man, that's tough.
Yeah, and like I say, you all of a sudden it hits you that you're in a World Championship final tomorrow, and it makes it, like I say, it's not like you just hit the pillow and go to sleep. The thoughts start spinning, and you're going like, "What? This can actually happen?" And you just put a bunch of pressure on yourself that you're not needing to do. And like I say, I think I showed that the year before when I went out 6-0 to Scott Mitchell. I took it a little bit different approach on the next year, and I made the final. So I think a couple more cracks, you never know. I'll probably end up getting there in the end.
Well, I'll tell you what, great runs indeed. Scott Waits is one of the best. He got the best of you that day, but I do have to say you had that highlight reel checkout, the 161 to win the 6th set 3-0. You went 54-57 bullseye, and I watched it today. You kind of raised your arms as if to say, that's what I can do.
Yeah, it was more of a finally something went in more than anything, because I had a lot of opportunities in that match. Even though I lost 7-1, I think I was more around 21 to 15 in legs played, and I missed what was winning for me the whole previous that year and the year before was my clutch finishing, and it just wasn't working for me. And I think that was more of a frustration sigh of like, why did it go in this time? You know what I mean? But like I say, it definitely won't be the last.
Right, absolutely. We have a couple months on now from the PDC World Championships, the Ali Pali, incredible walk-ons, the big stage. That must have been a real thrill, Tough first-round draw against Josh Payne, hard-fought battle. What are your takeaways from London's biggest Christmas party this year?
It's by far the biggest, best, craziest event in the world, and to be able to come from a small town in New Brunswick, where I'm from, and step on a stage of that magnitude, it's absolutely nuts. But yeah, it's like I said, I was close again this year. You know what I mean? I had a good first couple of sets against Josh, but I really should have closed him out when I had that opportunity. I made a mistake on a bull, and that I probably should have gone a different route. But like I say, other than that, that was a winnable match. But hats off to Josh for pulling through in the end.
Yeah, Josh Payne, one of those PDC young guns right now. There's a lot of them. They're everywhere. Interesting World Championship. You mentioned the fans. I'm wondering what it's like to play in front of a crowd like that with that kind of interaction, the sing-song, the noise, the whistles, everything. What's it like?
It's surreal, to be honest with you. Like I said, at Lakeside, everything is so quiet. You know what I mean? They cheer your good shots, but when you're back up to throw, it goes dead silent again. And I think that actually could hurt you if somebody happens to holler out while you're going for a double. Whereas Ali Pali, it's just constant noise, nonstop singing. So you almost forget that they're there. You have a job in front of you. You look at the big giant wall and try to hit the targets that you're throwing at.
What an event this year, too, right? The largest ever. You had the Asian invasion. They did themselves well. Lisa Ashton, Anastasia both played well. I mean, it's really growing the game.
Yeah, it's spectacular. You know what I mean? The girls joining there this year, everybody thought more than anything it was a publicity stunt, where it definitely was not. It's, you know what I mean? Those girls were there because they can play darts, and I think Lisa showed that, and Anastasia as well. We're
going to talk about Anastasia more in a second, but I don't think fans in the UK and across Europe quite understand the disadvantages facing North American players. You've got the travel, but I know a lot of players face that problem, but also the caliber of play, right? It's so good there. What's it like for you to go over there and then all of a sudden face all these killers at the Aki?
Yeah, and it's exactly that. With the way the PDC has gone in the last few years, you're noticing a lot of these youngsters are playing spectacular darts. And I think Taylor said it back a few years ago, and what took him 18 years of experience to get it's now taken these kids 6 and 8 months because they're getting the same stage time as what they had over those 18 years, and it's definitely progressing the game, and it's becoming more and more global. It's not just a Europe dominated sport anymore. There's lots of players from all over the world that's putting in good results. So.
Well, absolutely, and the PDC's done a great job in the growth of the game. The prize pools it's a career now, right? So a lot of these young kids, they're just going for it.
Yeah, it used to be if you were a Premier League player, you were making good money at the darts, and like I say, now if you're in the top 64, you're making a decent living. Most of those guys, anywhere from, you know what I mean, probably in the top 40, don't have to work because they're making such good money at it. But no, it's going, and it's only going to keep increasing as Barry Hearn's committed to increasing that prize money every year. So it's hard not to support it.
Now, with all that in mind, I really like the decision by Dawson Marshall to move there. You're a mentor of his. He seems to be struggling with wins right now, but I feel he's giving himself a real chance to get better and get tougher. I feel that was the right move for him.
Absolutely. It's for any player that intends on competing in England, you're going to have to take your game over there. Unfortunately, the level of play in North America is just not anywhere close to what it is game in and game out in the UK. You can catch the odd game here and there, but if you go to play any Players' Championship, you're going to face 95-plus averages every single time you play. So the only way to improve your game is to come up and meet that play, and that's by going there. And he's doing the right thing, you know what I mean? Dawson's a great kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders, good family, and he's struggling a little bit right now, but he's not as far off as he thinks he is. And I just know that he's just waiting for that one breakthrough, and he'll be on his way again.
Now, in doing research for this interview, I came across a few articles from @DartsWeb1. I'll give a quick shout-out to Thomas. He does great work there at DartsWeb1. But in one of them, you said this: I was Dawson. He has similar drive and determination.
Yeah, 100%. That's what attracted me to helping this kid out. You know what I mean? He actually flew to New Brunswick, came and went to school at UNB so that he could basically learn darts as far as the East Coast went. We have a good, very, very good high-level core player in this area. For him to come over and learn, and I think he did take a lot from that. But I was that young kid that didn't quite have the opportunities that he's given himself. You know what I mean? He definitely reminds me a lot of me, and I think he's gonna do well definitely down the road.
Well, that's amazing. I did not realize he moved there. That's commitment. For you, it takes a lot of commitment to get over there to play. And Q School happened this year. How tough is Q School? I mean, we've talked about it already, but everyone's putting up ton 40s, ton 80s like it's for fun. You know, it's so tough over there. You really got to be on your A game and give it a go when you're there.
Yeah, and the other contributing factor to that is that they're getting 600 and 700 players that are trying out for these 18 to 30 cards, you know what I mean? So it gets very, very difficult to get through just the sheer numbers alone. Because, like I say, you can throw 100 average, 100 average, 100 average, and then throw a 92, and then you're out of the tournament without any points. And that's where it becomes more difficult than anything. You have to play at such a high standard the whole way through if you're going to get through that.
Now, is that still a goal of yours in years coming?
Absolutely. Like I say, I've got a great manager in Will Lazar from ZWA Sports Management, and he's committed to me, and I'm committed to him. And I know, like I say, I'll be back there again in January, and hopefully we'll crack that lineup again next year.
Well, I'm sure you will, man. I'm sure you will. I mentioned Anastasia earlier. I always try to avoid saying her last name. At Anastasia Dartsworks, right? A legend of the Lakeside. Is she coming to Canada? She's going to be playing an event with you. You're organizing some kind of exhibition. Tell us about that.
Yep, we have our BDO tournament here at the middle of March here. It's a couple of weeks. Kind of threw out the message to her to see if she'd be interested in coming over to do some exhibitions. So we've put together six separate exhibitions. And the money raised with that is going to go straight back into our ladies darts program, which raises the category of the tournament and just basically tries to raise the profile of the women's game. And she's obviously one of the best that there has ever been as far as ladies darts, and one of the most famous in the world, I guess, overall. So when she said yes that she would come, it was the people here just really excited to have her. That's
amazing too, and a thrill for any aspiring dart player, man or woman, to play a legend like that.
Yeah, she like I say, she is a legend. She's one of the best ever, and will go down as one of the game's best in the history of the sport. So for any local player that's used to playing a meet shoot or a local ladies league, to actually have a world champion in their venue is surreal for them.
Now, how do people find out about this event if they want to check it out and come down and see her play?
Yeah, we got various events down here. It's called the Hub City is our BDO ranked tournament. It's in Shediac, New Brunswick, and we have an exhibition every night for 6 nights leading into that event. So, like I say, they're more than welcome to private message me if they'd like to find out how to get involved, the player, or even to come as a spectator. Definitely help them out.
Now, I know you've got a lot of fans. Mark and Zoe, they're coming over for UK to play this. They follow me on Twitter. I take it, and you mentioned it earlier, you've developed some real solid relationships over the years through this wonderful game of darts.
Yeah, those two are great people. You know what I mean? We've met them back. My wife's now good friends with them as well, since she's been over to the Masters and met them. Yeah, I've hung out with them when I was at my Lakeside days. They kind of took me in, showed me the ropes, and it's great to hear that they're gonna come over, and we'll try to make sure they have a great time when they're here.
What was it like for you to be recognized by your local government for your efforts in Las Vegas last year? That must have been special.
Yeah, they've always made a note to come out and bring me a certificate from our local MLA, which was very nice of Gary Crosman. But like I say, the biggest thing for us now is if we can get the government involved in recognizing as a sport, that becomes funding for the sport, which means it's only going to get bigger and better in New Brunswick. Like I said, I run a world-ranked youth tournament. There's a lot of tourism involved, you know what I mean? There's people coming from the U.S., all over Canada to play these events, and they should be backing it because it is great for the local communities where they are being held. Yeah, no, hats off to them, and thank you for that.
I was running down your Twitter, and a little while ago I ran into this tweet. Today is the day, my WDF youth event finally here. Great to give back to the future of our sport. This will be the largest youth payout in North America, and it will increase next year. That's absolutely fantastic, man. It's great that you do that.
Yeah, I started in the youth, so I feel it's necessary that I give back to that generation that I once was. And you know what I mean? Last year we paid $4,000, and I made sure it was equal payouts between the girls and the boys. So in the singles alone, it was $2,000 for the boys and $2,000 for the girls, and this year we've upped it to a $5,000 payout. So hopefully we'll have more success. We moved to a bigger venue because it was pretty tight last year, and it's just going to hopefully just keep growing until it's really worth for these kids to come out and play.
Tell us about your relationship with Windmow. I know it's pretty good. Running down your Twitter, I mean, it looks like your darts are great. All the other products are great as well. Some good times right there at Windmow right now.
Yeah, they've been absolutely fantastic for me right since day one. The support that they've given me, like started out with one set of darts, it's now turned into 4 different weight categories, some soft tips, and they do look after me absolutely phenomenally, and hopefully we'll continue for many years down the road from now. I'll be still representing that brand.
Yeah, the dart shirts look great. The darts look wonderful as well. I'm wondering about your nickname, the Silencer. I like it. How did that come to be?
Yeah, that was actually a good friend of mine, Ken McNeil, another popular Canadian dart player. Him and Linda from Alberta, we were just sitting around the Nationals. I just won my Canadian title, but I hadn't played it in 5 years, so I just came from out of the blue, middle of nowhere, and won the title. And it was like, you're the Silencer sitting up on the hill. Nobody's seen it coming, and I said, I guess he dubbed me the Silencer, and that's where it's been from ever since.
I'll tell you what, great job. It's a great nickname. The website is thesilencer170.com, at thesilencer170 on Twitter. Dynamite darts player who just took down 2 titles over the weekend in Portland. Jeff Smith, continued success, man. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Make sure everybody you follow High Roller Radio.